Alright guys, welcome back. Today we're talking about the IRA's, and I don't mean your savings account, favorite rifle, the AR-180. Although this is a AR-180B. So, you know, still my little Armalite, but not with the extra fun setting. Anyways guys, the AR-180 was kind of Eugene Stoner's kind of answer to fixing a lot of the improvements and problems that he saw with the AR-15 and AR-10 platforms, mainly making it even cheaper and lighter. And this thing is considerably lighter than a regular AR without a magazine in it. And this particular version is even lighter than the originals because it has a polymer lower. The originals had a stamped sheet metal lower. Now, the AR-180, to my knowledge, is the only AR platform, like I said, to my knowledge, that has a stamped upper and lower receiver on the original version of it. And, you know, the i.r.a. loved these things because they were really cheap, they were reliable, and they were easy-ish to sneak into Ireland. So, you know, just, you know, a little thought on history and that. They love this thing. There's photos of Irish women shooting AR-180s and stuff like that. Now, the Armalite stopped producing these for a while back in the day. And there's been a couple different companies that have come around and picked up the 180. This particular one, I think, was made in the early 2000s, 2005 by another company that I believe it was still Armalite, but they spelled it differently. So, you know, I'm not sure exactly. I can't remember. I had done some research on it, and it's a little hazy on the information on these later production AR-180s. There's far more information on the early 180s, the ones that actually had some historical use. But the 180 is a really interesting platform because it's an AR platform, but it's just was made cheaper and easier to make. Man, this mask for the props. But, and it's just really interesting, you know? And it's got some features. Now, I remember I had an argument a while back with a lot of people about how reliable their direct impingement system is on the AR platform, the AR-15. Now, my question is, and it's a great platform, you know, operating system, but if it's so great, why is it that Eugene Stoner, when he designed his upgraded and cheaper budget version of the AR-15, he changed it to a short stroke gas piston system? Just some food for thought. But anyways, the AR-180, specifically this one, the AR-180B, is a super light rifle. It handles really well. You have all the same ergonomics you do as a regular AR-15, but you are missing a little some features you might be used to with your regular AR-15s. And you know what? I'm done taking the mask off. But you do have some features that you're missing off of a regular AR-15 that you're probably used to. So first of all, there's no forward assist like you would normally have on an AR-15. Actually, my Beast doesn't have one, but both my other AR's uppers have forward assist. And then also, you have no bolt release for the magazine. And then it does have a last round hole open, and it does stay open without the mag, but you don't have any kind of mag release at all on it. So if you go ahead and you change it, you do have to manually drop the bolt in order to send it home with the new mag. The takedown on this is actually really interesting. They don't have takedown pins. Well, they have a takedown pin, but it's a C-clip retained pin. It's not a captured pin like on the AR-15, and then there's no pin on the back, and that's because it actually uses a different locking system on the back of this. So when we do the takedown on this, you're going to see a lot of the neat little things about this rifle, about how they did pretty much the assembly on this rifle. Now, neat is that Brownells has their own version of the AR-180, and it's the BR. I think it's the BRN-180 is what they call it, their version of it, and it's a modernized AR-180. 180. It is still the short stroke gas piston, but you get a milled aluminum receiver. I believe a milled aluminum upper. You can get a M13 rail on the back of it, so you can do a folding stock on it, and it does have all modern rail options and a railed receiver up top. Instead of the proprietary Armalite AR-180 rail that is featured here. Now they do make rail adapters that snap on here that gives you a pick rail, and I do intend on getting one in the future. Besides that, you do have a, your basic almost AR style front sight here, protected, very almost M1 Grand-ish like there. But then you have this elevation peep sight here that you can swap in between your battle sight here, which is rated for 0 to 200 yards, and it's real tight. And then you can swip over to your tight peep sight there, which is rated for, it's on the front side. It also says 0 to 200. Don't know what's going on there. But let me switch back over to that battle sight. There, so you can see that battle sight. That's where I like. That gives just the right sight picture on the whole front post right there. So you're not taking super long range shots with this rifle as it sits like this. It is mostly a close quarters type rifle, mid range. Depends on how good you are with iron sights. It does have windage adjustment over here on the side of the rear sight block here, so you can adjust that windage just a little bit. If you need to sight this thing is zeroed in a little bit better. Now, as far as safety, you do have your typical AR-15 safety here to swap this thing from safe and fire. Now, like I said, the polymer lower on this, I don't have an issue with. As a collector, I would like to have an original AR-180B, with the stamped sheet metal lower, and then also the charging handle that comes up kind of at an angle. You can charge from the top. I do like that, but I'll tell you what, I traded my Galil for this one here, and the reason why I traded my Galil for it, because I can replace my Galil. It was a j.r.a. Gallant. This, a lot harder to find. At the time that I traded this, I could have gone on, classic firearms or anything like that. I could have ordered like 5 j.r.a. Gallants, no problem. I went on Gunbroker, which was the only place that needed these for, and there was one of these for sale, and it was selling for double what my Gallant was worth. So I went ahead and went with this. Now, another unique feature of the 180B, because this version here, is you do have a trap door here in the back, and it is kind of stout to open. Alright, so that popped open. Alright. So you do have this trapdoor that opens up that is very generous inside of that. I mean, you could put quite a bit of stuff in there. I do want to actually, I'm actually contemplating making this my bug out rifle. I'm thinking about putting a folding stock on here, and then that's pretty compact like that. Now you'll see why you can put a folding stock on this when I bring it in for the disassembly, but it's actually a pretty neat system. So let's bring this in, and we'll go over some of the other little neat features of it, and we'll disassemble it. Alright, so to begin disassembling the AR-180B, you do need a cartridge, pretty much. Because what you have is right here on the back, you have this little dimple right here on the back of the receiver. And you just press this in right here. And I actually disassembled, I think I reassembled this backwards. Yeah, I believe I actually did this backwards when I had it apart last, which isn't that big deal. Okay. There's 2 different ways that this can, actually no, it's the right way. But when you pop that open, and then your spring comes out like this, and this is the back which actually locks the receiver down to here and matches into the bolt hole right here that's inside of the back of the receiver. And you can actually, this is actually how you undo the bolt for the stock. So I might go through and undo this bolt on this stock and see what it would take to modify a piece of pick rail on here so I can put a folding stock on it. But anyway, so now we got this apart, we can pull out our spring, and this actually has two purposes. This is our recoil spring assembly, our locking assembly, that's two, and then also it actually holds on our handguards, or our upper handguard. Now for a field strip, you only have to take off the upper handguard because now you have access to all of your spring. Anyway, so now that we have that off, you can tilt that back, or we can bring our bolt back here to right here, which is further than this normal travel would allow. And then you can take out your charging handle, set the charging handle there, and then the rest of your bolt. Now if you look at this, it's very, very different from your typical AR-15 bolt carrier. However, it does have a very AR-15 bolt head, and then it has pretty much the same style cam groove. But besides that, there's no need to have any kind of other complications here. Here is where our firing pin is. And of course, without it being all the way in battery, the firing pin cannot even strike a cartridge on its own. So that's a very neat system right there, very simple. And that is just one big block of metal. And you can see the reason why this has multiple purposes is because when this goes through the receiver like this, these pins stick out like that through the front of the receiver. Let me get this. Through the front of the receiver right here, and into these two holes in the top of the handguard, and that's how the handguard locks on. So very utilitarian, very simple to put together. And if you want to take the lower off, it is a little bit more tricky because it has this C-clip here. So we're just going to leave it off for the time being. Leave it on for the time being. But as you can see, inside here, very AR looking as far as the inside goes. It's just in our composite lower, that's slightly different geometry. Now, for the gas system here, this is a short stroke gas system. Short stroke gas piston. And what's interesting about this is this system right here is nearly identical to the short stroke gas piston that's in the SVT40. So the SVT40, and then also the SVD uses a short stroke gas piston that's very identical to this. So to actually take this gas piston off, you have to push the spring like this to get up like that. Then you have to push this back like, okay, it's this one here comes out. You take that off. Then you can move this one like that, get it off, and then you can take off the actual piston and spring. And you see this is pretty much our gas port comes out of the block right here into here, and pretty much moves this just enough like that to overcome the spring pressure, and boom, slap the bolt with that right there. Now, I suspect the only reason it's got this double little piston cup here is just for assembly, because otherwise you can't take this apart with the way it's designed. Is it the best design for a short stroke gas piston? Debatable, but it's honestly not that complicated, so it's not that hard to disassemble and reassemble. So to reassemble it, pop this back on here, bring our piston back, drop you in and back like so, drop you in like that, and bring our piston is home, back together. So it's not that complicated as a system. Where I can see this being an issue is if you're in cold weather and you have big thick gloves on. Maybe. I do want to see, I'm curious to see how reliable this system is compared to the AR, because one of the problems with the AR platform, the AR-15, is the direct impingement gas system is real easy to clog up with dirt and sand. So I might do a side-by-side comparison with these two rifles, see how they do. But the only difference is where this has a disadvantage to the AR-15 is going to be the fact that the way that this is, there's a lot of open air right here for stuff to get into it. But anyways, let's reassemble it. So we're going to set our handguard back on. Pop her open. Slide our bolt, set our bolt to just right there. Put in our charging handle. And now when you do assemble this, the cam pin does have to be, there's a track here that I was going to show y'all. If you see here in the back of the receiver, there's a track here on the side. That's where the cam pin rides. That way it stays timed pretty easily. So you do have to get the cam pin directly upright. Actually, yeah, sorry. It's kind of easy the way this thing is built to kind of actually put this thing in backwards. So you put your cam pin, put it in like so, drop that in. There we go, we are locked. Now, you can only put this in, I know it looks like it should be the other way around, or this should be up top, so it go through here, but it does have to go the other way around. So you slide that in like so. Jiggle it around so you can find the bolts. Push forward here. Jam your finger down in there until it gets right there. Boom. We have our AR-180 back together. Now let's talk about some of the other features of the gun once I zoom us back out. Alright, so now we're back out. We're going to take a look at some of the other little features that kind of make the AR-180 kind of interesting to look at. So first of all, we have this very retro, almost M16 style furniture set. Although the stock is more club shaped than the old M16, but it's still, you know, interesting looking stock. And we got our basic plastic handguard here. Now, I don't say the stock feels nice and good and sturdy. The handguard does feel a little cheap. Serviceable, but it feels, you know, a little cheap. I would be nice if somebody sold an aluminum version of this or something like that, but you know, it ain't so bad. And then same thing with the plastic grip. Nothing special, just your budget plastic grip here. I have to check and see if AR-15 grips will fit on here, but I would never do that simply because I'm keeping this rifle mostly original. And then the slings locations is a little weird because it's on the grip instead of on the buttstock. I don't particularly like that, but that's where it's at. Of course, we have Armalite AR-180B on both sides of the grip, along with all of our rest of our stamps and stuff like that. We do got the nice little Armalite logo there. And then I come up to the front, we have our sling swivel up here and a bayonet lug. And this does have your basic prong style muzzle brake here. It's not quite a full prong because it's solid across the bottom. So this is kind of a flash hider slash compensator for muzzle rise, because without that other cut down the center, a lot of that extra gas is going straight up. So this does help fight muzzle rise quite a bit. So, I mean, this is a real basic rifle, handles really well, shoots really well, low recoil. I'm kind of curious once I put an optic on this. I do want to test the accuracy between this and a over-the-counter AR-15 and see if there's any real accuracy differences. Now, on this one here, you do have less reciprocating mass on the bolt. The bolt is a little lighter. It feels lighter in the hand. It feels bulkier because it's a bigger, just a square chunk of steel. But I believe it should be a little lighter. And then you do have a little bit more mass moving around with the short stroke gas piston. But overall, shooting side to side, I can't really tell the difference between this and an AR-15 off the top of my head while I was shooting. It wasn't like one of those things where I'm shooting it and I'm like, oh man, this thing feels different than an AR-15. It's not like, for instance, with my Set-Me-C. This feels different from an AR-15 when you shoot it. The recoil's not really any different, but it feels different when you shoot it. It's hard to explain because it's roll of delay, but it feels slightly different when you do shoot it. Not to mention, you really hear the spring right next to your ear, unlike with AR-15, you don't really hear the spring. This, you do hear the spring. Don't know why. But when you shoot this, yes, you can tell, yes, this feels different from the AR-15. Not necessarily in a bad way, but you can tell. But that's like the only analogs I have in 5.56 I can really compare is the 180B, the Set-Me-C, or the Set-Me-L, and then AR-15. So between the AR-15 and the 180B, can't really tell that much of a difference. It's not really fillable to me. It's not something that sticks out of my mind. Unlike with the Set-Me-L, you can feel it feels slightly different. It's hard to explain. But I do plan on getting the rail adapter to put a rail up here so I can put an optic on this rifle. And I might put something just basic on here, you know, maybe just a fixed 1 power, 3 power, something like that. And maybe see about putting a folding stock on here. I wouldn't mind putting this stock on here I used to run on my AR-7. That could look pretty cool. It would be a little shorter. But I kind of like the idea of that, the storage compartment. I don't know. I like having storage compartments and stuff. I like the option of being able to store stuff if you want. Because you could, say, if I was to use this rifle as a survival rifle setup, I could load probably a magazine's worth or more of ammunition in this buttstock. Could be done. There's a lot of stuff you can put in that much room. But anyways, guys, that is the AR-180B, my little Armalite. What do you think? Personally, I like it. I'm going to put my mask on out to end out the video, because you never know. But yes, I like the AR-180B. I do plan on getting some more firing time with it. Hunting season is kind of weird for me. I don't have a property that has like crazy unlimited hogs to access to. Otherwise, if I did, I'd be taking a different one of my rifles every time I did go to the ranch if I knew there's always going to be a chance at a pig. But because I don't always have a chance at the pig, I stick to my main hunting rifles. But I tell you what, I do want to get some more shooting time with the 180B because I do like it. Just money's tight. You know, ammo's expensive, talk is cheap, and all that good stuff, as Flannel Daddy likes to say. But anyways, guys, that's the 180B. If y'all have any questions about the 180B in comparison to an AR-15, let me know. Maybe I'll do a comparison video directly comparing an AR-15 to the 180B, and maybe even the Set-Me-L, which are my 3 AR-based rifles, pretty much. Anyways, guys, y'all have a good one, and I'll see y'all next time.